Oh man, I really need to get a battery tender for this. For some reason, something's sucking power out of the bike. I don't know if it's the constant on, something's drawing from the gauge here, the tack, or from this COSO. Both don't seem to have anything on when the power's off. There aren't any lights on either of these, but if I don't ride the bike for a couple of weeks, the battery seems to go flat. And it's a pain on this bike because to take off the seat, you have to pull the bolts off. I know there's this quick disconnect option that allows you to put a key in there to slot it out, but it's still quite an ordeal. So I definitely need to get some pigtails or something coming out of this so I can leave this on a trickle charger. But at least the bike's pretty easy to push start. If you just run with the bike for a moment with the clutch engaged, with the transmission in second gear, and then go ahead and pop it out, it's pretty easy to do just as you run alongside the bike. First couple times I tried to roll it down my driveway and that didn't get enough speed, but yeah, just at a slow jog, holding the clutch and popping it while you're in second, and then kind of minding the clutch as soon as it catches, gets the bike going pretty easily. Let's go for a ride. All right, just leaving Ace Hardware after picking up some hardware for the 1970 CT70 build. Just a couple of stainless steel bolts and washers that I didn't seem to have in my box. Anyway, it's been a few weeks since I rode the bike, hence the earlier segment where I tried to start it up and it wouldn't, and so I ordered that slow charging system, which seems to work real well. That actually works so well that I went ahead and bought the same setup for all the other bikes because might as well keep all the batteries in good condition and be able to jump on any bike anytime I want. So I'm also really curious on how good the quality of this video comes out. On the last video, there were some issues I was having with the compression, especially when you're going fast. If you look down at the road, it all just became really bad, blocky, compressed pixels. It looks like it was a particular problem with the way that DaVinci Resolve was dealing with the way that this new GoPro Hero 7 was compressing the video. Anyway, the resolution, well, there's two solutions. One is I could buy the full version of DaVinci Studio, which is $300, as opposed to the free version I'm using now. So that was not my first inclination. The more readily available and easier to do solution was to export this in the, I think it's HNDR or XR format, which I think was uncompressed, and then I use Handbrake to compress it to the MP4 format, but it does a much better job, and it also leverages the GPU on my 1080i graphics card. So in a few of the tests that I did, it looked a lot better, hoping that the overall quality of this comes out a lot better too. But yeah, on the previous video when I was cruising around the water right ahead of Hurricane Dorian, which again, fortunately for Florida, missed us almost entirely. We got a few windy days and some light rain, but but nothing compared to what the Bahamas got, where the storm sat around there for about 24 hours or something. And I still have some of my storm shutters up. Actually, a lot of people do, just because here in Florida, storm season goes from, I think, the beginning of June till the end of October officially. And until the HOA complains, I might as well just leave them up so that I don't have to put them back up. But now that we're into October, the likelihood of any other storms goes down quite a bit, so maybe next week and I'll start to put all of that stuff away. But yeah, anyway, particularly, and I'll be looking at this video here after the ride, but the ground hopefully isn't as pixelated as it was in that video. So a few different viewers of the channel have reached out to me about printing the tack housing, or the tack mount that I did the 3D print design on. So I went ahead and I've sent a few of those out, and one of the viewers, Will, he's building a pretty wild cafe racer style bike that has the full drop bars and the white wheel tires. It looks pretty wild. He said he'd send me some better pictures once the build was closer to complete, but here's a few that he's put together so far. And you can see that he's leveraging the 3D print tack housing that we did on this bike earlier on. But anyway, if anybody else has you know, photos of their bikes and their builds, I'd be happy to feature them on this channel, and just interested to see them myself. I don't think I've ever seen another Honda Monkey rider out on the street, and I don't know, I'm sure they're more popular in maybe areas where there's more commuters. Here in this area in Florida, I don't see too many motorcycles, but yeah, particularly let alone the Monkey. So anyway, if you got some cool pictures, send them over, and I'll get them up on the channel. So I was talking with an old friend of mine, and we were talking about different things. I was talking about the Honda Monkey and actually this channel that we started up. And he was talking about an old band that we used to listen to called The Darkness. I was never a big fan of the band, and honestly it always just sounded like a joke to me, since they didn't seem like a real rock and roll band, but more, you know, mocking the rock and roll scene, or like the hard rock scene. Anyway, it was never my thing, but he was all about it. Stuck behind this truck. So anyway, I was talking about the mini bikes, and he was saying that the cover of The Darkness's new album had a mini bike. So he brought it up on his phone, and lo and behold, the guy's actually riding a yellow Honda Monkey. So I don't think I've seen this bike in any media really at all to date, other than the Honda advertisements. So pretty wild to see one of his favorite bands riding my favorite bike on the cover of the new album. I was actually planning on looking into it more to see if this guy maybe is an avid motorcyclist, or if he just happened to choose the bike because it looked goofy for the picture that he wanted for the cover of his album. Anyway, last topic that I wanted to discuss, and just safety notice for everybody, is, you know, make sure you're checking the tire pressure on your Monkey. The rated front and rear tire pressure is 29 pounds. When I looked at it the other day before I was getting the bike ready to ride, both tires were down to 20 foot-pounds of pressure, so pretty significant drop. I think I'd probably only been a month or so before I checked them last, but anyway, of course, all vehicles, it's important to keep tire pressure within the correct range. Motorcycles in particular, though, just because, I mean, there's half as many tires as a car, and you know, if one tire isn't working as well as it should, the impact is potentially a lot more grievous than it is on a car. So anyway, make sure you guys are checking that out. Thanks for riding along with me today. Kind of a short ride, just running an errand, but wanted to do an update and get out on this bike. So appreciate everybody watching. Stay tuned for more videos. Thanks.